Good evening, welcome to another unboxing. This is one I didn't realise I was going to end up getting. I didn't even know this game, Navies War, by Decision Games. I didn't know it existed until last Thursday. I was scrolling through that well-known auction site and I spotted this picture of the box. Now, that instantly drew me. I mean, if I was walking through a game store and I saw that on a shelf, I would instantly stop and go and pick it up. Don't mean to say the artwork means the game's any good. Of course it doesn't. But by hell, that is one impressive looking cover. So it was been advertised as used, although it had never been played. It was punched from its cardboard sprue, but it never been played, and I've looked at the counters and a lot of them are still joined together by the corners, so it obviously hasn't. Let me turn the box over. And it's a crappy box. It's not one of your GMT, designed to stand a nuclear war box. This is pretty poor. And it's a bit battered, but the contents are okay. So what's it all about? Well, if I bring this bit down and maybe zoom in a bit, you can read it yourself because you can just pause the video and I'll carry on talking. But basically, it begins in 1915 and the premise is that France has fallen. The Schlieffen plan, well I can say it, the Schlieffen plan actually worked. The Germans eventually surrounded and wiped out, well not wiped them out, but they negated the French armies in France. In this scenario, the British Expeditionary Force never actually made it to France in time, and there is some truth in that. I mean, they were still debating it, and I think the BAF only arrived in France a week or two before the actual German attack started, so it's reasonable. I'll move it down a bit so you can carry on reading. Remember, you'll have to pause it. And so this is basically a naval big gun World War I game. There's no nasty submarines to worry about. Very little in the way of aircraft. And there's no army units. It is just a big gun naval World War I game. And when I say big gun, I'm talking battleships, we're talking dreadnoughts, and we're talking pre-dreadnoughts. There's no armoured cruisers, nothing like that, nothing smaller. It's just the big boys and the big guns. Right, if I show you the map on the back of the box, a pretty basic map. It's 34 inches by 22 inches. It's not exactly pretty, but it's functional. It does its job. And the land is basically there just to divide up the sea regions, because this is an area control game, and the sea regions are the areas that you need to control. So although the land is there, there is land warfare in a very, very abstract way through the use of chip poles, but more of that a bit later. Let's have a look at some of the counters on the box here. Now, we've got an enlarged counter here for the US Navy. Now, the 7 is its attack strength, 9 is defence strength, and 5 is its speed factor. It tells us it's a US ship, gives us the name of the ship, North Carolina, and a good old Jane's Fighting Ships top-down view. That number there, it's not on all of them, but the ones that does have a number, that's the turn it comes in on. because the North Carolina wasn't available in 1915. 10 is probably, well, I don't know, 1917 maybe, end of 1917, sometime around there. Now, let's have a look at the other counters. Try and do it a bit. Right. So we've got the British in red, we've got the Italians in this orange, the Americans we've already said in blue, we've got the Germans in black, we've got the Russians in green, and it says RN and RS on some of them, which means the Northern Fleet, which is up in the Baltic, and the Southern Fleet, which is Black Sea. We've got Spanish ships, we've got Austro-Hungarian. We've also got, for the British, and they're the only country that get them, and they do come in late, 10, 12, 11, 12, carriers. This one's the Vindictive, remember. Carriers were very, very in their infancy, as was naval air power. But you do get them, which is a nice touch later in the game. Here, again, we've got German ships, we've got a Greek ship. Now here, we've got the Jean Bart, which is a French ship, and it's called FG. That means it's Franco-German. And basically, this ship was captured during the invasion of France, and so it's become part of the German Navy. If you flip this counter over on the other side, it's light blue. It's still the Jean Bart, and the same numbers, 555, but it's Free French, meaning it's on the side of the Allies. And finally, we've got the Turkish Navy. There's some units for them. Let's turn it over. Now, as I say, the box is a bit battered. You can see there's some crease in here, but not to worry. Let's move that box out of the way. The rule book, it's only 16 pages long. It's black and white. It's very basic. And the first few pages, this introduction is quite interesting because it gives the designer's thoughts on why he's done what he's done. Love that. I love that when they do that. And there's little bits throughout the rules where he also makes points on why he's made certain decisions. We've got a section on the game components showing the counters, etc. Bit more stuff there. Basic setup, control of bases, because we have bases on here. And then different things that can happen, like the fall of Sevastopol, the fall of Gibraltar, etc., etc. Then how to win the game. We get to the middle, we get to the turn sequence. Miscellaneous ship losses and random events. We've got reinforcement ships. Checking for the blocking of the Suez Canal. Check for capture of Central Powers African colonies. So it goes on a bit. There's a bit to do. Then we've got the movement, contested narrows like the Dardanelles, the Baltic, repairs, because you can repair ships that have suffered damage in your home ports, various other things that's going on, how to fight the battles. We've got combat here, what happens, how to suffer casualties, how you repair ships, or if they're sunk. And then at the end, we've got a little bit on the British aircraft carriers. And that's the rule book. Now, it comes with, I think it says on the box, 300 and something counters. So I'll get these out later. But for now, I'll just show you this. These are the German ones. Turn it like it works so you can see it. These are the German counters in the black type grey colour. We've got Italy in this orange colour. Again, I'll show you the counters properly at a later time. We've got the Russians in green. We've got the British in red. Now here's where we've got the French Germans. And in the game, you have to actually roll for each ship to see if it's going to be grey side up, French German, or blue side up, which is FF, which is Free French. Oh, it's FR there, so it's French, depending if they've gone over to the Allied side. Also in this phase, they can either go to the Germans, or they can go to the Allies, or they can be scuttled. So you don't know until you roll the dice for all the French Navy. It's the fleet without a friend job again, isn't it? Like in the Second World War. Publicly French fleet, never had a friend. And then everybody was frightened to death. The other side got hold of their ships, so that happened there. We've got the US in blue here, the US ships. We've got the minor navies here. We've got some Spanish, some Turkish, and some Greek. Not many, because they didn't have many in the way of dreadnoughts or pre-dreadnoughts. As I say, there's no armoured cruisers or anything like that. Oh, what else is it? Yes, we've got this. We've got the Austro-Hungarians in yellow. So we've got the Austro-Hungarian Navy as well. There's also a lot of markers for hits, 3, 4, sunk. The crosses are disabled and that type of thing on here. We've also got various markers, control markers, and ship pulls. And these ship pulls are quite important because they get pulled out of a cup and it shows the order of activation. So maybe it'll activate in Gibraltar. So any ships in Gibraltar, you've got to decide are they going to sortie, are they staying where they are, what they're going to do. But then after that, maybe Cherbourg and Brest will activate. And of course, Cherbourg and Brest is in German hands. Will they counteract what you've done, that type of thing. So the solo gaming, ship pull, brilliant. The box says it comes with 1 dice, but as you can see, there's four white and 3 blue in here, so I guess the guy has either added them himself or it just came with these dice. I have no idea. And finally in the box is the map. It's cardstock. I thought it was a hard, cardboard map, but it's a decent cardstock. Right, so what I'll do now is I'll stop the video, I'll lay out the map, I'll select a few counters and we can have a look at them and see what we think. Back in a minute. Right, I've laid the map out. There's no plex in it because I don't want to get any glare. It lays reasonably flat. But let's take a closer look at it. Let's start up at the top left hand corner and zoom in a little bit. So we've got, we'll see what you can see, we've got the Central Powers Victory Point track and the Allied Victory Point track. We've got a game record 10 track. It's 1915-1, 1915-2, 1915-3. So there seems to be 3 for each year. It also mentions the US because the US may or may not enter the war, depending on what happens. Further down here, we've got a map key. So we've got sea zones and boundary lines, the points values. Points values in the first box is for the Allies, for the second for the Central Powers. Contested narrows, well, we mentioned that, didn't we? Landmass, Allied powers in red, Central Powers in green. Allied naval base and repair capacity, so whatever each base has, that's how many repair points it can do each turn. And it's same again, white for the Allies, black for the Central Powers. Further down here, if you remember I mentioned about the French fleet. See if I can get this a bit better, sorry about the jumping about. This is the dice roll for the French Navy, fate of the ship. So 1 or 2 it's captured by the Germans, 3 damaged but still captured by the Germans so they could repair it. Number 4 it escapes to Algiers undamaged. 5 it's damaged but escapes to Algiers so the Allies can repair it. And number 6 sunk outright. So we could look at that as being scuttled or something. The random events check sequence, you go through this for the various parts of the map. Right, now let's look at the map a bit closer. Let's start in the Mediterranean because we're down here. Now it's all divided into zones. So we've got the central med, we've got Malta there. It's worth 5. No, sorry, that is its repair value. It can repair up to 5 units, 5 damage. The central med is worth 3 victory points for the Allies, it's worth 4 for the Central Powers. Eastern Med the same. We've got a base here at Alexandria and Suez. And down here we've got the Red Sea. And of course to the South Atlantic, if you're going to have to go around by Cape Horn, if Suez is blocked, you might have to go around by Cape Horn. Further up we've got the Black Sea, we've got the base at Sevastopol. We've got Turkey here. In this game, it seems quite strange, but Italy has sided with the Central Powers. They've seen which way the wind's blowing after 1914 and France's defeat. They've sided with the Central Powers. Of course, Austro-Hungary, what can you say? Austro-Hungary, their base is at Pola. They're also with the Central Powers. Now, them two together is a bit, yeah. And also Greece and Turkey with the black, if you see the black, they've also sided with the Central Powers. Now, with this no T and no Greek, they're doing some, you know, they're keeping a bit to history. For instance, no Turkish ships can use Greece as a base, and no Greek ships can use Turkey as a base to do repairs and things. Same across the way here with Austria, Hungary and Italy. They can't swap in each other's places. Yeah, so we're keeping a bit of historical fact there. Let's move a bit further along the map. We've got North Africa here, we've got the various places, we've got Algiers, and then we've got things for colonies. Allied colonies in Africa, Central Power colonies in West Africa. Of course we've got Gibraltar and various other things on the board there. Here, let's come right across a bit more. We've got the Azores, not worth anything, but the South Atlantic, 2 and 3, Central Atlantic. We've got Canada and US, just shown in tiny. Now, the repair facilities in Canada and US is only 2. Well, I thought that was, you know, the resources of Canada and US. Well, maybe it's because it's early in the war and they're maybe going to be isolationists, but that's what they've come up with the game design. I haven't read why they've done that, but I'll try and find out on that. And finally, if we move up, we've got France. We've got Britain, of course, with its 14 repair points. Move across to Germany. They've got 11 repair points. We've got another one of them contested narrows, the Baltic Sea, and then we've got a base for the North Russian fleet. So that's basically the map. So what I'll come to next is the counters. Right, the counters. Now let's move it a little bit. Well, control markers for the sea areas are pretty basic. Two-sided. You've got the German ensign on one side, you've got the Royal Navy ensign on the other. Here, and this is ideal for solo gaming, we've got the chip pull system where you operate your ships from, so, and you can see these are still joined together. Never been played this game. So you've got the different colonies. Let's move down to the ships, and again I've kept this like this because these American ships never been still joined at the corners. So you've got the ships. Move across again. You've got all the values on. I love these top-down looks. It's like Jane's fighting ships, but in colour. You know, the drawings of the vessels, different rates, the fire rate, the defence rate, and the movement rate, which is brilliant. Moving right across the British one there, Royal Oak. She don't come in until turn 5 in this game. What we got down here, this Italian one don't come in while turn 10. You know, as these ships have been built during the war. Now, the fighting is done similar to another game. I think it's can't remember the name of the game now. But it's similar to that, but with a few twists. What's it called? I can't remember. Brain fart. I'm getting old. But this opens up a lot. I mean, a lot of you watch my videos know I'm a tinkerer, and straight away I can see lots of alternatives for this game. I mean, for instance, the US. I mean, we could go back to. We've got the Pre-Dreadnoughts. I mean, they virtually go back to about 1890. Let's say we had a scenario around about 1901, 1902. The Americans have just successfully defeated Spain in that war. They gained themselves Spanish territories in the Caribbean and the Pacific. They've already done or they're about to do, I think they've already done it, the Great White Fleet sailing around the world, announcing that, you know, the US Navy it was now a blue water Navy, and it was a force to be reckoned with. Naval planners were already drawing up coloured plans. Plan red for a war against Britain, I think. Plan black against Germany. Plan blue against France. In this game, why not? Will they enact Plan Red? Pit the US fleet against the might of the Royal Navy. Take it to the North Atlantic. Take it to the North Sea. Like the privateers did in the War of 1812. Give Britain something to think about. You could do that with this game, with the Pre-Dreadnoughts, it's say 1901, 1902. Britain and France, the Entente Cordiale, maybe it breaks down, and all of a sudden we've got British and French Pre-Dreadnoughts battling out in the North Sea, the Atlantic, the Mediterranean. Over here we've got Austria-Hungary battling Italy perhaps. Would the Germans send ships into the Mediterranean to back up the Austro-Hungarians? Would Britain and France back Italy? And what would the US and the Russians be doing while all this was going on? Would they stand by? Would the Russians come through from the Black Sea? Would the Americans send a fleet into the Med? Oh, there's loads and loads of possibilities. Or you could make it even later. Let's start after. I mean, the Dreadnought was launched in 1905. She gave her name to a whole generation of Dreadnought battleships. Let's say it's 1910. So you've got a preponderance of Pre-Dreadnoughts, and you've got a smattering of proper Dreadnoughts, you know, with 8 turrets or more. Not 8 turrets, 4 turrets with 8 guns or more, rather than the Pre-Dreadnoughts with just the 1 turret forward and 1 turret aft. You could do that. All on this map with just a slight minor alterations to the rules, but it's certainly for me as a tinkerer, I can see so much potential for this game. Very pleased I picked it up, and I got it for a song. And as you can see by the pieces, this thing's never been played. You know, they're still joined together, some of these counters, and it's the same in all the other bags. A lot of the British ships are still all joined together, so it's never been touched. So, and I think this is possibly the first video, well, I've certainly not found one, of this game that will appear on YouTube. So I'll shut up now and get it uploaded. So thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you on the next one. Bye for now.